Hey everyone, it's Donnie with another video. This is my preseason Eastern Conference predictions for the 2016-2017 NHL season. First things first, since I know some of you hockey fans aren't the smartest tools in the shed, here's what the conference looks like. We've got Washington, Pittsburgh, Florida, the Rangers, Islanders, Lightning, Flyers, Red Wings, Bruins, Hurricanes, Senators, Devils, Canadiens, Sabres, Jackets, and Leafs. Here's the divisional breakdown for more guidance as this video gets going. First things first, we got the Metro. I have the Pens winning the Metro, Capitals second, and the Rangers third. I can't stand the Penguins other than Kessel, but they're really good, so I'm giving them first to the Metro. They've changed like literally nothing other than losing a few role players here and there, so I expect them to be pretty dominant this year. Not as good as last year near the end of the season, but I still think they'll be pretty good. The Capitals basically get the second seed by default because no other team could keep up with them over 82 games if they stay healthy. Led by Ovi, Backstrom, Holtby, Kuzi, and the rest of the team, expect them to put up at least 105 points next season. The Rangers will be third because of the guy who does the GQ shoots and the Head and Shoulders commercials. Pretty much having a superstar goalie can't hurt, and then a few other players like Nash, Zibanejad, McDonough, Zook, and maybe a few young guys, but yeah, that's pretty much it. From the Atlantic Division, which is more teams from the middle of the continent than actually on the Atlantic coast, I've got the Lightning in first, with the Panthers behind, and then Montreal Carey Price is following in third place. The Lightning have Stamkos, Bishop, Tyler Johnson, Hedman, and of course...
There's it! Scores! Nikita Kucherov! His second of the night! Pokes it home!
That really is such a beautiful call, the emotion and the passion, wow. Next up, I've got the Panthers finishing number 2 in the Atlantic, probably pretty far from anybody else in the division. The Panthers had an awesome offseason bringing in Keith Yandel, Jason Demers, and quality number 2 goalie James Reimer. Add in the Spacey and Space sweatshirts and you really can't go wrong. Now here's the most iffy of the division picks in the East. I have the Habs taking the third spot in the Atlantic simply because of Carey Price. With the additions of Alex Radulov and Shea Weber, they shouldn't be missing the playoffs. The Canadiens traded their best non-goalie in PK Subban for an aging Shea Weber, and Habs fans responded as following. Why trade a guy who does Don Cherry impressions as good as this for an aging defenseman who struggles defensively?
Years old. Now he goes out here. Now look at this. He goes out here. You do that. And I'm telling you, back in the day when we had Semenko and these guys, they took care of that stuff. PK is a good player. I mean, he's no Bobby Orr. He's a good player.
Oh, and his contract is pretty bad too. My first wildcard team is the Islanders because of a strong D-core and John Tavares carrying them in. There might be some goaltending issues with the Islanders, but a bigger issue is the off-center Jumbotron and Barclays Center, as well as the random car that sits behind the Techno Block advertisement on the boards, instead of having some of the best seats in the house there. Next up, we've got the Boston Bruins, led by Patrice Bergeron and a feisty goal scorer known as Brad Marchand. With Tuukka Rask in net, anything can happen depending upon how he decides to play in the upcoming year. With guys like Torrey Krug and David Pastrnak set up to improve, they should be good enough to sneak into the playoffs as an 8th seed, but they'll have a lot of teams breathing down their neck. There are 5 teams who could sneak into a wildcard spot in my eyes, starting with the Buffalo Sabres. This is a very improved young team with good goaltending, as well as some talented scorers in Evander Kane, Jack Eichel, and Tim Horton's favorite Ryan O'Reilly. Next up, we have the Devils. The Devils are an interesting team currently in the chase to get Jimmy Vesey, who would make their top 6 increasingly better. With the addition of Taylor Hawk and the subtraction of Adam Larson, and losing Schlemko in the offseason doesn't help their cause on defense, Schneider will have to play great if the Devils want to keep in the chase, and I expect him to be in the chase until the last week of the season if Pavel Zacha can keep up his 2-point-per-game pace. Another team who could make noise is the Detroit Red Wings. Without Pavel Datsyuk, it won't be easy, but with 2 solid goaltenders in Mrazek and Howard, anything can happen. Zetterberg, Nyquist, Helm, Larkin, and the gang will have to play up to their fullest potential if the Wings expect to stay in it. The Flyers are one of my dark horses this season, not really doing much in the offseason to improve anything outside of the organization, which may come back to cost them. They'll need a big year out of young talent to just Ivan Provorov if he indeed gets called up like so many think he will. Expect Giroux and Voracek to have big years this year, and the Flyers should stay in the race until the very end unless Steve Mason makes mistakes like he did against the Capitals in the playoffs. The last team who could make the next step into being a playoff contender are the Senators from Ottawa. Stone, Hoffman, Carlson, Turris, and now Brassard will look to do a lot for a team who has a mediocre at best bottom 6 forwards and a generally average goaltending tandem in Anderson and Hammond. I feel like they're a year away, but they could shock a few people, I guess. The last 3 teams in the conference are teams that I don't see being in the race near the end of the season. The Leafs are good, but they're still far away from being competitive. Expect Frederik Andersen to have a lot of work on his hands in the coming year because of a pretty average D-core other than Morgan Riley. The Leafs are obviously interesting to watch because of Austin Matthews, William Nylander, and Nikita Soshnikov all likely to be in the opening lineup around JVR and the gang. The Hurricanes are going to be really good in a year or two, but I don't think they're anywhere close to being ready to win with the guys on the team right now. There's too much mediocrity with the veterans on the team and a pretty weak bottom 6 core, as well as really no legitimate 30-goal scorer outside of Skinner. With Cam Ward coming back again, that helps the Canes a ton in their progress, but I don't expect to see them in the chase this year, probably regressing from their 86-point finish last season. My bottom feeder, cellar dweller, whatever you want to call them, happens to be the Columbus Blue Jackets. This Blue Jackets team has no identity and a ton of mediocrity outside of Atkinson, Jenner, and Sod in the goal-scoring category. The best thing the Blue Jackets could do is go full sellout mode and try to get a competitive team for a few years from now. As long as CBJ can draft well, they'll be back in it because of a lot of good youth in Bobrovsky and Ned if they choose to keep him rather than trading him come the deadline. That's my prediction. Feel free to post your comments and critiques in the chat and I'll do my best to respond to them. Follow me on Twitter and make sure to subscribe here to see my mostly NHL content. This is Donnie, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.
And I'm hungry, I'm just not that thirsty. As of late, all my verses seem not so versy. And all my words just mean controversy. Took the team up off my back like that's not your jersey.